everyone, my name is Poodle. I'm a finance girly and also a dog on the internet, and today we're gonna go over my investing for the month of August. In these investing tracking videos, I like to talk about my net worth, my current net worth, how much it's changed over the past month, how much I was able to invest, and everything about that. So let's just get right into it. Okay, so getting into my finance tracker Notion template, let's just scroll down right here to the net worth section. If you're interested in getting my template for yourself, you can check out my Etsy page and check out my video tutorial here on my channel explaining how to use everything in this. So first, I kind of want to explain everything about this chart, the net worth tracker chart. So the first thing you'll notice is that I really didn't start itemizing anything in here. Like, I didn't start tracking specifically each essentially source or account until like last month, until August. Up until now, I was just tracking like my entire net worth. I would just add everything together and then just put the number in. So I don't really have the breakdowns up until last month, unfortunately. So that's why you have this total here. That's my total net worth. And so before I kind of start talking about where I'm currently at, I just kind of want to give an overview of my investing journey up until now and talk about everything that's happened kind of briefly. So I don't really have the data from when I completely started investing. I didn't track it back then, but I started investing around maybe like May 2020. It was right after I graduated college, or like right as I was graduating college. So like May, June, summer 2020. And I had a couple things going on that summer, a couple of side hustles. And so I was able to invest about up to $4-ish grand, 4.5, I think. And then right after that is when I went to grad school and I finished like August, September 2022. And so my net worth really didn't change much at all in that time. I maybe added a little bit to it here and there and market gains. So I got up to like 5-ish grand by then. And over here around October 2022 is when things start getting a little crazy. You see I jump up from 5 to 9 at the end of that month. A couple things happened. So I did my grad degree abroad. I went to the University of Iceland, and I also spent some time at the University of Oslo. And so because my home university was the University of Iceland, when I went to Norway, I got an Erasmus grant, and so like a study abroad grant. So they just gave me a couple $1,000s. I think it was like 4-ish grand. And so I used a decent chunk of it while I was abroad, of course. But I think I had like 2 grand left of it in my bank account when I moved home. And so I just cleaned out my Icelandic bank account and just put it in my normal bank account and then invested that money. So that's part of the jump here. I also, when I moved home, I started door dashing really aggressively and ramping up some other side hustles. Like I was tutoring English. I'd been tutoring English for a little while at that point, but I really started ramping it up. And then this time in my life, I was really just trying to figure stuff out, like which you would think I would have done before grad school, but I didn't. So this was kind of where I was figuring things out. I for a lot of this year, like I there's some pretty big jumps here. I end up going to by the next September, my net worth is at 17,000, which is pretty crazy. I think market gains at the time were pretty decent, and I was working a lot on DoorDash and my other side hustles, my like Instagram side hustle, tutoring English. And so I was trying to invest as much as I could, but I also decided to do a data analytics certificate at this time because after grad school, I really thought about kind of what I want the rest of my life to look like and what job I would like, which again, you would think I would have done this before grad school. And I did to an extent, but it was a very idealized life plan, not very based in reality. And so I'll just explain it a little bit. I studied Viking history in grad school, and I was like, oh, I'll just get a job in a museum, and I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I thought it would just kind of work out. And while I had an amazing time, I don't regret that degree in the slightest. I definitely could have put a little more thought into things. And so when I came home, that's kind of when I had a bit of a crisis of like, oh God, what do I do now with my life? And so I decided I wanted to prioritize decent pay, decent to high pay potentially, and ideally remote work. Because one thing the traveling taught me is that I love traveling, and so I'd love to be able to do that more easily with a remote job. So I decided to pivot a little bit. I took some data analytics certificate. I took a data analytics certificate, and that cost a couple grand because I decided to go through a university because I thought that would have more weight behind it than like an online course. And maybe it paid off, maybe it didn't, I don't know. We'll get into what I'm doing now. But so 2023 was when I was paying for that. And then you'll see end of 2023 is when I started investing a little more aggressively again for a couple months. I go up to about 22K by February. And I also was working at Amazon at that time. I got a seasonal just warehouse job. And so that helps me put a little more money away. And then also in 2024, January 2024, I bought a car because up until then I had been using my parents' cars because my parents were retired. They were happy to let me use a car to DoorDash and do everything. But when you're like 25, 26 and you don't have your own car, it's a bit tough. And so I bought a car. And I got a used car for about $8,000, and then it had some engine issues, which luckily the warranty covered. But so I was aggressively paying off that car until about September. So you'll see like my net worth fluctuates a bit. It gets up to 26,000 and then goes back down to like 24. This was all like essentially market fluctuations. I wasn't investing super aggressively during that time, or really much at all, because I had a really high interest rate on my car loan. I have a really great credit score. I have high 700s. Sometimes it goes up to 800. Like I have a pretty good credit score, but because I hadn't had many loans, I just got like a really bad interest rate. So I wanted to pay that off as aggressively as I could. And I think it was September 2024 is when I finished that. And you'll kind of see that in my net worth because things start going a little crazy. The end of 2024, I'm at a 32,000 net worth. And then January, that jumps up by about like 13 grand. And then it just kind of goes a little crazy ever since then. So what happened at the beginning of 2025, the beginning of this year was, so this happened in the summer. In the summer of 2024, my great aunt passed away. And she left me and my brother about 15 grand each. And I received that in 3 installments. The first 2 were in January, and then the second was in February. So that is that big jump there, was essentially that 15 grand. And then also in around this time, I didn't mention actually. So in April 2024, I got a temp job in an office in Philadelphia and at a finance company. And then in December, I got a permanent offer. And so from January, that's where I started my permanent position at the company I still work at. And my pay went up. My salary is $57,000. It's about 3 grand take home each month. And so I was still living at home with my parents. I was just putting all of it away, not all of it, but quite a lot of it away. And then of course the inheritance helped jump that number up a lot. And then you'll remember like spring this year, the stock market wasn't doing too great. So I was investing quite a lot, but my net worth stayed about the same until about May, where it just jumps up to 59,000. And since then, like, of course the stock market has been doing really well, but that's really where I started seeing compounding go absolutely crazy for me. Because like not mediocre, but like a good day in the stock market, if like my portfolio goes up 0.5% now, I'm making more than I do at my job, like per day. And that's really crazy. And so since since like April this year, I've really been able to see like compound interest going kind of nuts on my portfolio, which is very exciting. And so something else I meant to mention earlier, but forgot. Something that's definitely impacted this over the years is that I have no other debt. I have no student loans whatsoever. I got a really good scholarship for my bachelor's degree that paid for all of my tuition, and then my parents paid for room and board and everything else. And then for grad school, the thing about doing grad school abroad, not as like just a exchange semester, but actually like attending a university over there, is that it is pretty much free. The University of Iceland, I paid $500 a year for tuition. That's it, $500 a year. So all I really had to cover was living expenses, which there are a couple government programs, depending on the country, of course, but in Iceland, there was a program that helped pay like a couple $100 towards housing. And then I started tutoring English online to make some extra money. And then my parents were, generous enough to help me out with the rest. Overall, like, it was way cheaper than what they were helping me out with in undergrad. So it kind of evened out, I guess. And of course, I talked to my parents about that, and we agreed on how much and all that. But I am super grateful that I don't have to deal with student loans, because if I did, this would look much different, of course. Yeah, and I currently have no debt, just credit cards I pay off every month, and I just do my normal spending on. I have no loans, no student loans, no car loan, nothing. So this is pretty much everything for me. And so up here you'll see my current net worth is $70,862.68 at the end of August. And that's where I'm at right now, which is a crazy number to be able to say. And so for the breakdown here of each essentially source or account that I have, that adds up to my net worth. For cash, I have $10,410.73 just in cash, in a high yield savings account, in my checking account. Between all of the cash I have, that's the amount. My individual account has $34,879.88. In my Roth, I've got $22,083.10. My 401k is pretty small, but given I just started my permanent position in January, I'm at $3,433.50. And then I also have an HSA that is at $55.47. There has been more money in this over the year, but I've been having some issues with my hands, and I've been having some medical bills. I talk about that a little bit more in depth in my August financial reset, and like my income, my spending, my budgeting, and all that. But essentially, I have carpal tunnel. I've had to see some doctors, go to PT, and so I've been using my HSA to pay for that. So it's helping offset that expense, but it means that there's not much in the HSA right now, and I probably will continue to keep using it that way. And so yeah, that's the breakdown of my current net worth. Okay, and now let's go into exactly how much I invested in August. So here's a graph of everything that I put into all of my accounts in August. So I am counting my 401k in here. I don't really count this on my finance tracker, like in the investing section compared to the income and spending, because that I do after-tax income, like just what I put in, like kind of manually. But I think it's fun to count what goes into my 401k and see that whole number. I think it's really fun. So for my Roth IRA, I invested $1,310. My individual, $270. And then my 401k, the total amount invested was $596.49. Out of that, $397.66 was money from my paycheck, and then $198.83 was from my employer. So that brings us to a total of $2,176.49 for the month of August. So this number is pretty crazy. August was quite a unique month this year for a couple reasons. So you'll see that I focused really heavily on my Roth because I want to max that out for the year, and I will talk about that a little bit more, like what I have left and stuff, when I talk about all of my financial goals a little bit later. But yeah, so I really focused on my Roth IRA this past month. As for my 401k, this is higher than normal. August was a 3 paycheck month for me, so that meant 3 401k contributions. So this is usually about $400 a month, and so, you know, an extra one is just kind of crazy to see. And this whole like total number, like over $2,000 in 1 month, is pretty crazy for me and really exciting, and I'm really happy to see that. But this is not a normal month for me, not by a long shot. I also could have invested a little bit more because it was a 3 paycheck month. However, you will see that reflected next month, because I got my final paycheck on August 29th, and that was Labor Day weekend. I was away on a little trip with some friends, and so I didn't do anything with that paycheck. It just sat in cash. So normally my cash is a little bit lower, and I would have invested that money, but yeah, because of the weekend, I didn't do that yet. So in September, you will see in my like overview in my investing video, you'll see that I really invested that amount then. So September is going to be kind of high too, which is a little crazy. Okay, so let's go back to my Notion page because I want to talk about the change in my net worth between July and August. So at the end of July, my net worth was $66,526.91. And then to recap, my current net worth at the end of August is $70,862.68. And so that is a difference of $4,335.77. So the stock market has been doing pretty well, which is great. And then in addition to everything I was able to invest in August, this number is kind of crazy. This is quite a big jump. I'm not expecting a similar jump at the end of September, but everything has really been compounding at a crazy rate ever since I hit 50,000, and I'm just so excited to see how that's gonna keep going. Okay, and now we're over here on the goals section of my template, and let's talk about the one that I think I'm gonna hit first, which is I want to max out my Roth IRA for this year. So currently I've invested $6,115 out of $7,000, which means I only have about $885 left to invest before this is maxed out. And I really do plan on hitting that in September because of my normal investing and also the extra paycheck I got. I should hit this honestly like halfway through the month. And then, so let's talk about some of these other goals I've got. So my goal for the year was to hit a 75,000 net worth. And I am almost there, which is crazy to say. I didn't think I would be this close this soon. But I think in like 2 months or so, we can get this up and completed, which is crazy to say. Like, we're only going into September. I've still got so much time. And so because of that, recently I've set a net worth goal of 100,000 by my birthday on February 8th. So if I can hit that, then I will hit 100,000 by the time I'm 28, which is crazy to even think about getting close to 100,000. But this really depends on the market, and so this would be a bit of a stretch, I think, at least. But I thought I would just put it there, we'll see how it goes. And I don't know, we'll keep an eye on this and see how well the market does and how much I can invest by then. And then the last goal there is Coast-fi, which is like Coast Financial Independence. I added this pretty recently because I thought it'd be interesting to track like what net worth do I need to have in order to have the amount of money I want in retirement by 65. So this number essentially means for me that like if anything happens, like where I can't be investing as aggressively as I want to, I will still be able to have like a normal retirement at a normal retirement age, and that is really reassuring to me. I mean, my biggest goal is I really want to retire as early as possible, like in my early 40s if I can swing it. But just having the peace of mind that no matter what I will be able to retire at all is really reassuring. So that's another big goal I've got. I don't expect to hit that anytime soon, but I thought that'd just be fun to keep track of. Okay, and that's pretty much it for all of my goals. Hopefully I will max my Roth IRA by next month, and then we'll see how soon after that I hit 75,000. And that's really it for this month's net worth update. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm very excited to be making these kinds of videos to keep track of everything for me and maybe help you guys track or motivate you to track your net worth and see how it changes over time. But yeah, let me know. I really can't wait to see everyone's thoughts in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video and everything. I'm just starting out this channel and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So thank you so much for sticking around and hanging out with me. So I will be back next month with another one of these, another spending and income review, and yeah, keep an eye out for all of those. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and see you next time.